Hello, Internet. Fighting the Void has returned after a couple of weeks, and back with me today is Crystal, who was unable to be here for the last episode, but she's back now and ready to go. And in fact, you even dressed special for the occasion, I see.
I have, because, Ginger, I have a very important message I need to get out to the world.
People, do tell.
People, we need an evil Disney princess. Now, I'm not saying it has to be me, but I'm willing to volunteer as tribute so we can fulfill the need for an evil Disney princess.
Well, why not? I mean, in fact, I hear they're making a Maleficent 2, and they kind of made the bad guy the good, and they kind of made the bad guy the good guy in Maleficent 1. So therefore, you can be like the daughter of Maleficent.
Or I could be, to follow my writer's nickname, I can either be Lucifer or I can be Lucifer's daughter.
That's true. I guess that would work if they were to do a Fantasia live action.
Again, I'm not saying it has to be me, but I'm willing to volunteer.
But it could be.
It could be.
And that's what's important here. I don't know why, but the cameras keep cutting out a lot lately. I don't know what's going on with that, but that's just how it's going to be a little bit. So we will adapt. We will overcome. And in any case, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Crystal.
So if audio's weird, our screen's probably froze up, and if one of us acting weird, well, we're weird anyway. So what do you expect?
That's affirmative. Right now, I'm actually trying to. I don't know if you can hear the little bleep of notifications coming from me, but I am trying to shut that down right now. Oh wait, I can just completely close that window, and that will no longer be okay. There we go. I think we're going to be good now, at least from the noise. So okay, as usual, you can. If you want to watch live, you can head on over to YouTube. We did post a link in Twitter at Fighting the Void. So go ahead and check that out. We also have an email, fightingvoid@gmail.com. And of course, like I said, comment on the YouTube, comment on the Twitter, whatever you want to do. So, but all of that being said, Crystal, your message, your timely PSA. We need an evil Disney princess because evil needs to be represented in our modern culture. Am I not right?
It does. I am very, very underrepresented in media, and sorry, we need more representation of us evil people.
And who's to say that it's really evil anyway? I mean, just because the raping and the pillaging and the stealing and the all of that. I mean, there's just different rules, right?
We're just misunderstood.
That's right. That's right. You're just being misunderstood. I mean, it's really a kind of tough love.
It is.
Right? Let's see, there you go. See, we're on the same page now. But that leads in a fashion to our topic for the evening, which is the treatment of female characters in film. And let's just go ahead, given Crystal's outfit there, just delve right into the most maligned of female characters in the modern day, the Disney princess. Crystal, since you were the one who dressed for the occasion, what are your thoughts on Disney princesses, how they're treated in their movies, old and new? And of course, obviously, we're going to critique what the things that people say about them.
Well, I can't so much comment on the newer Disney princesses because I haven't watched a movie with a Disney princess in forever. But with the old ones, I remember which one was it? It was I think what was it, Cinderella? There were a lot of criticisms of Cinderella, and that like she, unlike the other Disney princesses, she didn't really earn her happy ending. Or who was it? I think it was Cinderella, because I remember that being a big thing at one point.
I would be surprised. That's interesting because honestly, Cinderella, I'd be like, yeah, she totally earned her happy ending because she was treated like crap by horrible people for her whole life.
It was either Cinderella or, now that I think about it, it was either Sleeping Beauty. Might have been Sleeping Beauty.
Sleeping Beauty, I think that would be more applicable to.
Yeah.
You know, that's just, yeah, you know what? She slept. She slept for a long time. Prince Charming, you know, shows up, and they live happily ever after, which is, of course, it's a gross oversimplification.
She did, you know, have to maintain stuff in that little cottage, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. And after all,
sorry,
go ahead. Go ahead.
Sorry, no, Sleeping Beauty, my favorite Disney princess movie.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah,
really?
Sleeping Beauty.
That is.
I think it's the fairies.
Fairies. I can see that. That makes sense. That
makes
sense.
I remember because as a little kid, I'd want to eat the same kind of cookies the fairy godmother, that the little fairies were eating. So.
And why wouldn't you? Because the fairies are eating them, then obviously they're good.
So, they were good.
That's funny. One of my daughters, that's her favorite Disney princess. It's Belle, right? No, or I'm confusing that with Beauty and the Beast. I'm sorry.
You're thinking of Beauty and the Beast. I'm talking about Sleeping Beauty.
Briar Rose. Is that right? I'm forgetting her name. I'm
Aurora.
Aurora. It's Aurora. Oh, okay. Thank you. Honestly, that's the one I've probably watched the least.
Yeah.
Yeah. And well, that, and honestly, Cinderella. I haven't watched those two old ones in a very long time. But one of my girls totally loves Sleeping Beauty. I wasn't messing that up. That is absolutely true. She loves that one. I just couldn't remember her name to save my life.
I like your daughter. I approve.
Well, you would, because she's also my storyteller.
You know, okay, right now your daughter is getting the Satan seal of approval.
I'm not sure if that's. I don't think I'm going to tell her that. Just. I won't put it quite that way. I'll just tell her, you know what? This girl Crystal, she approves. I won't tell her your secret identity.
It's my
might freak her out just a touch.
No, it's Crystal's the pretend.
Oh, I see. You've got like a Batman Bruce Wayne thing going on. I got it.
Exactly.
I see.
Where was it? Where were we? Oh, that's what it was. We were going with
the unearned happy ending of Aurora.
Yeah, and I remember it was at a time where I think it was a period of time where people were really trying to make the old Disney princesses seem like they weren't as like hardworking or didn't really earn their as much as the passive character. Yeah,
like just passive, like damsels in distress, just waiting around for Prince Charming to come and sweep them off their feet, and as though they had no personalities in and of themselves, which is fundamentally false.
Yeah.
Even honestly, even Sleeping Beauty, even Aurora. Yeah. Okay, fine. Did she do a whole lot to earn her happy ending? Not necessarily. But what she did do was suffer a curse.
Yeah.
And Prince Charming did what any self-respecting man should want to do, and he went and rescued the girl. That's kind of that's a good thing that he wanted to go and rescue the girl.
Fought a dragon for her.
Fought a flippin' dragon. Yes, thank you. A witch that turns into a dragon, or whatever the heck she was in the movie.
Yeah.
But, yes. Yeah. I'm going to go ahead and say that's okay. Now, of course, the criticism isn't necessarily of the prince. The criticism is still of the princess. And the criticism really that she needs to be rescued by a prince. You know, sometimes everybody needs to be rescued.
Yeah.
Everybody. In fact, I find it odd in a way that a lot of these criticisms come from the left. Because, I mean, this all comes from the political left. Pretty much all of it. The criticisms are inconsistent. Because you've got, oh, she didn't earn her happy ending. Okay, which side of the political spectrum is constantly asking for stuff to just be given to them? Let's see here. She needed to be rescued by a prince. Okay, the left is constantly saying that everybody needs help. Everybody needs a leg up. Everybody needs to be rescued, which I agree with to an extent. It's like your criticisms make no sense. I mean, you're essentially mad that the princess isn't portrayed as enough of a self-reliant individual. Which philosophy does that sound like?
my biggest issue is the well, as you mentioned before. Oh wait, no, I don't think you mentioned it before. Whether or not you mentioned it before or not, but like the oversimplification of what the whole story is.
Exactly.
I will give that Sleeping Beauty is the closest to the whole damsel in distress.
Yes.
But I feel like even with Sleeping Beauty, that's really a oversimplification of the older Disney princess movies.
Oh yes, absolutely.
Very much so, and it kind of, I don't know, it really, they're taking away the development that the Disney princesses do have throughout the movies.
Yes.
You see it in Little Mermaid, you see it in Mulan, you see it in, especially Beauty and the Beast.
Yeah, and I think this is interesting because one of the things. Now, first, let me go here with like Little Mermaid and Mulan. I think this was the beginning of the development of the modern Disney princess, where the princess is the one that's driving all the action in the movie, which that is obviously driving all the action in the movie, I should say, because even in the old ones, it was the princess driving all the action. Even again in Sleeping Beauty, everything was about her. Everybody was acting. Pretty much everybody was acting for or against Aurora. And the whole thing, the plot completely revolves around her. Same in Snow White. The plot completely revolves around her. Same in Cinderella. The plot completely revolves around her and her struggle with her stepmother and her stepsisters and her fairy godmother coming to make sure she can get to the ball so she can meet the prince, and then the prince literally scouring the kingdom for her. Now, I'm sorry, but I don't understand how this is a bad thing for a girl to kind of want is that a man would love her enough to literally go door to door throughout his entire kingdom trying to find not just anyone but her. That's like that kind of sounds like the fantasy that most people have, actually.
Guilty as charged. I mean, what can
there you go, right here. I've got witness of an actual girl, people. Don't let the fact that she's an evil princess deter you. I mean, this is still relevant.
She may be evil, but she's still a chick. Listen to her.
Exactly. She's still a girl, people.
Listen and believe.
So, some things don't change, whether you're good or evil.
Yeah.
It doesn't change the way. Anyway, yeah. Now you said you haven't seen a lot of the modern Disney princesses. What have you seen with? What have you seen like Little Mermaid and Mulan?
I want to see Mulan. I haven't. I've seen Little Mermaid. I've seen Cinderella. I've seen Sleeping Beauty, Snow White. Beauty and the Beast. Those are all the ones I can name off the top of my head.
Okay. Okay. Well, let's focus in on because you mentioned specifically Beauty and the Beast is kind of an example of the modern Disney princess becoming more obviously active. Now, where is it that you see that?
Is it? She really. I remember at the beginning, she really does have a drive to like do all these different things, and I think okay, my brain's a little fuzzy on the movie, but doesn't she kind of want to do similar things to what her father does?
Okay.
I can't remember. It's been so long.
I haven't seen the animated one in a while. I've seen the live action one.
I haven't seen the live action one either.
In the live action one, for some reason, they feel the need to add that she's an inventor. Apparently, the fact that she likes books and everything just wasn't enough. I don't quite understand that.
well, even if it was just her liking books in the first one, she still had that drive to like build her now. She was very much. She was pretty much like an intellectual Disney princess. You know, she really wanted to grow her mind and read and didn't like the people in the town look at her weirdly for that. Like, girl, what are you doing? Reading.
Yeah, exactly. Everybody looked at her weird. The men, the women. It's like, why are you always walking around with books, girl? And she's like, because they're awesome, yo.
And that's why writers love Belle.
Exactly. Because she's like, just get away from me. I'm gonna go read this stack of books.
Leave me alone.
Exactly. And honestly, I'm sure you've walked around a town somewhere literally with a book as you're walking. I used to do that all the time. Like walking home from school, I would literally, pull up my book and just read it as I walk down the sidewalk.
I haven't done that. I just recently, just this past year, fell back in love with reading books. So I'm kind of
That's right.
Yeah, I blame school. School ruined it for me.
It's a separate conversation, but I was actually just telling another one of my daughters earlier tonight. It's like, you know what? If you're not careful, editing can ruin your love of reading.
Yeah.
Because you have to read a lot of things that you may or may not enjoy.
I've gotten close to that, but luckily I'm one of those where even when I like with Winter Neverland, even when I'm rereading my short stories, I'll find little things I could think of to edit, but I'm like, I could edit, but I'm happy with it right now with the way it.
There you go.
It's fine.
Yeah, but no, I'm like, editing other people's stuff and everything. It's like every now and then you do get good stuff. It does happen, and it's like, okay, I'm cool with this now. I kind of go from either. It was again. I don't want to go too far down this tangent, but I kind of go from either this is a lot of work to this is a lot of fun.
That usually works.
Yeah, it's like I haven't found too much middle ground. It's either like or it's like woohoo.
Yeah, there's really no in between.
No, like this the stuff of yours that I've looked at is much more woohoo than it is work, which is good.
Why, thank you.
You're welcome. And then I've told you the one that I'm reading now is also much more woo.
Oh yeah.
Anyway, back to our princesses.
Yeah.
And now we had, you've got Belle and Beauty and the Beast, who it doesn't just she isn't just established as different right away, which she is, but she's also the one who draws the Beast out of his arrogance and his pride, and more in a way that's more than just I'm sorry that I was arrogant and prideful because boy, this situation hasn't worked out well for me. He genuinely makes him forget about himself. And it's because of her that happens. And again, she drives the entire plot just revolves around her, just as it does in the older movies.
Yeah.
In the sense that, Gaston is after, the Beast is willing to sacrifice himself for. Everything, again, is all for or against Belle. And, it's like, come on, people. These characters, these princesses that you call completely passive non-agents in the story they're the sun that the whole story revolves around. There is no story without them.
Yeah, you don't have to be a kick-ass character to be a strong character.
And boy, oh boy, well, that gets us right into the modern Disney princess, of which Mulan is, in a sense, that, because she was the first Disney princess that I can think of off the top of my head that wielded a weapon, and was actively fighting through a story. Of course, that did, honestly, I don't think anyone made a big deal about that at the time at all. It was just like, oh, okay, Chinese Disney princess.
If it's a story, it makes sense.
And it did. It fit the story very well, and it was based on a legendary poem from Chinese culture.
And it has happened in history.
Yeah. There are rare occasions where that has happened.
Even in U.S. history, there's been women who dressed up and pretended to be men to fight in the military.
Right. Yeah. It's not every day. It's much more the exception rather than the rule, but it has happened. And well, a lot of times the ones we know about because they were really good at it.
Yeah.
One of my favorite saints is, of course, Saint Joan of Arc, who has a 17-year-old girl led. Well, I think she started getting her visions when she was 17. I think she might have. I can't remember if she was 17 or 21 when she was actually leading the French armies against the English and winning.
Man.
And winning. Contrary to, let's just, speaking of treating of female characters in film, I hate the way that she is typically treated in film.
How is she typically treated in film? I don't think I've seen anything.
She's often just. There are two examples that come to mind. One is, it was directed by Paul Verhoeven, I think, or no, maybe it wasn't Verhoeven. No, it wasn't Verhoeven. It was the other Paul, whose name escapes me at the moment. The one was, anyway, Mila Jovovich played her. It's the name of the movie is The Messenger, and they basically play her like just some crazy psycho who just thinks that she's getting messages from God, and they just treat her like a total loon. It was just a pawn that they were using the entire time. And it isn't even the pawn thing that bothers me so much. It was the fact that Jovovich played her as a loon, basically.
You talking about The Messenger?
Yes.
That was directed by Luc Besson.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay. I remembered incorrectly then. Well,
gotta be fake news, Ginger. Can't be fake news.
Yeah. But another one was there was a miniseries that came out about the same time that starred Lily Sobieski in the role. That was much better. It actually took the story seriously, and it actually showed her she was at the head of the armies and everything, but they still largely treated her as a pawn that they just sort of used. It was a much better portrayal, but it wasn't quite there. My problems with that one are much more quibbles than they are with The Messenger. The Messenger just, I was excited when that movie was coming out, and then I saw it, and I wanted to throw stuff through the screen. If you ever want to actually, for anyone out there who wants to actually learn about St. Joan of Arc, Mark Twain wrote a biography of her. he did it and it's fascinating because Twain is no fan of the Catholic Church at all. He's not a fan, but he has great respect for old St. Joan. And the way he wrote the story was he went and he collected all of the various documentation, because she went through 2 different heresy trials. That in and of itself is a story. And so there's a ton of documentation about these trials and about her story, things that she did. And he went through and he read through all of this, all of these eyewitness accounts. And he basically did a narrative biography. He wrote it like a story by creating a character who followed her from her hometown all the way through everything. So anyway, little plug for whoever owns the publishing rights to that these days. It's really, really good. It's really well written. It's fascinating. He wrote it under, everyone knows that his real name is Samuel Clemens, of course, but he actually wrote it under a separate pen name because he didn't want people to associate it with the opinions and the writing style of Mark Twain, essentially.
Okay.
So he didn't want that to create some sort of weird dissonance where people dismissed it. So
that makes sense.
Yeah. Anyway, really interesting. So yeah, there's one of my favorite poor portrayals of a female character in film. It's just like where you've actually got a female character who is leading armies, and then they completely disrespect the character.
Oh yeah.
So,
they've done similar things with some of the wives of Henry VIII in the movies they've done on them. Like, especially Anne Boleyn, from what I can see.
I have not. I'll be honest. I haven't watched much of those at all.
I haven't seen a full movie, but I'm one of those where I'll like research and look into movies, and so I'll see clips and I'll like, do that kind of stuff in free time.
You'll get the gist of it.
Yeah, and they don't always. They don't always. There's always very. They don't quite do the wives justice.
Okay. How so? Educate me. I don't know. I don't know much about how they're handled in film, and honestly, I only vaguely know their historical roles.
Yeah.
Really, the one whose historical role I know at all is Anne.
Yeah, which Anne, in the stuff I've sort of seen, they kind of portray her as like for example, the show The Tudors. They got like some things right, but there's, I don't know. I feel like they sometimes portray her as like almost like this vixen in a way, which is really not how it historically played out.
Okay.
because historically, Anne Boleyn, she was, there was a different guy interested in Anne Boleyn, and she was in love with him too.
Okay.
Henry VIII, he found a way to get Anne Boleyn to be with him instead of the guy. I can't remember how he did it. I can't remember if he made Anne dislike the guy or if he made the guy go away or something. I don't remember specific details, but I know she was originally in love with someone else. That guy, Henry, wooed her over because Henry VIII was quite the charismatic king.
Indeed, and quite the bad individual. I'm not a fan.
Yeah, neither am I. But and that's another thing too that people often don't include in their portrayals is that Anne Boleyn was actually quite the religious woman.
Okay, now I would love to see how that's. Now, how on earth is that reconciled with her role in fostering the divorce of Henry and Catherine? Although I don't know, maybe this is a discussion for another time as well, because we're wandering far afield.
Yeah, and I'd have to look into it, because since you brought it up, I would be curious to see if there's like journal entries where she's talking about that stuff too. But yeah, Anne Boleyn was a heavily religious woman.
Yeah, I'd be curious to know more about that. And to be fair, Henry was he started off actually as a very faithful Catholic. In fact, he wrote a book defending the church against various claims of the big reformers and everything, and even got the title of Defender of the Faith from the Pope before he decided. Yeah,
he was a very big theologian.
Yeah, he was he knew his stuff until he decided, kind of feeling like I need a new queen. And this one, I'm not getting the air that I want, and
I think they kind of did a similar thing to Catherine Howard, too, his youngest wife, who was his. Wait, okay. So there's the first Catherine, there's Anne, there's Jane, there's another Anne, and then there's Catherine Howard, and Catherine Howard was the youngest wife of Henry VIII, and I think I haven't gotten this far in the Tudors, but again, I've seen clips, and from what I can tell, the Tudors, they portray Catherine Howard, again, like a vixen, even more so than Anne Boleyn,
okay.
and like rats and whatnot, and from what I've read so far in doing research on the history of it, yeah, she had her bratty moments, but she was nowhere near like that.
It's a one-dimensional sort of thing.
Over exaggeration.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And you know what? I'm kind of wondering if I'm suddenly wondering if this is going out. I looked over at the thing, and it's like still waiting for us. Oh wait, no, there you are. Okay, I just needed a refresh. We're good.
Don't scare me like that, Ginger. You did it last time with the habit debate to me.
Well, yeah, I know. YouTube's been weird lately. YouTube's just been like, you know what? I'm going to take your hour-long conversation, compress it into a minute. I'm going to not record this one. It's just, I'm going to make you go ahead and go through this way instead of that way, and it's going to be confusing.
For those who are listening or watching and don't know, we did the last episode I was on with Ginger. We did a 3-hour Hobbit debate with each hour dedicated to each movie in the trilogy, and Ginger could not find it on the YouTube, and he was like, I can't find our debate, and I'm like, I'm sorry, what? Yeah, I can't find it, and it's like, Ginger, are you saying we're gonna have to re-record 3 hours of debating?
I don't know if I could have pulled that off a second time. That was
neither could I, and it just wouldn't be the same either, because it just wouldn't be the same. It probably wouldn't be for as long either, because it's like, okay, what was everything we said again? Because I don't remember everything we said.
Exactly. We'd be trying to remember everything that we said, and then it wouldn't be nearly as engaging. And I think it was pretty good. We covered it in excruciating detail for anyone who isn't quite as into it as we might be. It might be a lot of detail, because we weren't planning on 3 hours. We were planning on doing it in just like the regular hour time frame, and well, that's not what happened.
I knew we were screwed by the time we were encroaching the end of the first hour, and it's like, oh boy, we are doing an hour for each movie. I can feel it.
Yeah, you probably knew that when we got to about half an hour through it. I'm like, oh yeah, and one more thing. Oh no, and one more thing. Okay. And this actually, we can get away from Disney princesses a little bit, because here we are, Hobbit trilogy, another controversial female character.
Oh yeah.
For those, we covered some of this ground in the Hobbit debate, but if you don't want to watch 3 hours just to catch this bit, here's for you.
Toriel.
Yes. Played by Evangeline Lilly.
Yes.
So, what your thoughts on Toriel? Toriel?
I didn't like her at first.
Mm-hmm.
But then she grew on me. And the reason why I didn't like her at first was because they were adding a female character just because it was becoming a sausage fest. Which I'm one of those where it's like, I don't care if it's mostly guys or mostly females, just don't add characters just
to add characters.
to add characters, yeah, or just to fill a diversity quota or something. Because I'm sorry, but I'm just gonna say this: as a woman, I do not want to be given a female character just because, hey, you need to be represented. We're gonna put you in this thing that really doesn't need you, but to represent you, we're gonna put it in there. It's like, no, give me truly well-developed female characters who belong in the story and aren't just added because female. You know?
Now, this is why she annoyed you at first. So what made her grow on you?
Because she wasn't annoyed. because when they added her, they didn't make it like a, hey, neon sign female, woo woo woo.
Yep, that's true. She was just sort of there.
Yeah, like she ended up being just part of the story.
Yeah.
Granted, and we did discuss this, there's a discussion to be had on how well she was added into the story, but she was still part of the story.
Yeah. I think overall, I never really had a problem with Toriel, just because I'm like, okay, yeah, I'm sure there were female elves around. The fact that there weren't any in the story, that they weren't named, okay, whatever. I'm fine. But I didn't like how they made her super duper warrior princess. She could be a fighter. That's fine. But it's not. I also want to be fair. It wasn't just her. They really OP'd Legolas as well. They were both just like, why do we even need armies? Just send those two in, and they'll just wade through everybody, and we'll just sit here and eat popcorn, yo. Just the way they portrayed them, it's like, this is ridiculous. It's, yeah. I actually have a huge problem with that whole, this person is so much better than everybody else, where it's like they're never in any danger, like nothing, and you can get away with it with certain characters when there's a, when there's like a moral struggle that they might have or something. Like people always had that complaint about Superman. I'm like, oh no, he's got a moral struggle with everything he does. It's you're looking in the wrong place for the drama and for the struggle. Yeah, it's completely different. But yeah, again, trying to keep the focus on the female characters. I did appreciate that they didn't sexualize Toriel, despite the wedged in romance with Keeley. She wasn't an object in any way, which was good.
You mean the non-existent love triangle?
Yeah, again, that's its own discussion.
Which we already had in our debate.
Yes, go check that out, and you can find the 3 minutes where we discussed the fact that they tried to make it seem like there was a love triangle between Toriel, Legolas, and Keeley, and it just really wasn't.
It should be 2 hours in, either 2 or 3 hours in. Oh wait, no, it ended at 3 hours. So yeah, you know what I mean. You'll find it.
2.5 hours in, right around there.
Yeah.
If that's the only part you might be interested in, you just fast forward and slide through half an hour or so until you get there.
Yeah.
But now, and actually though, I think we should kind of circle it back to the modern Disney princess just a little bit, because the modern Disney princess is very consciously different.
Yes.
Than the previous ones, like Ariel, Mulan, Belle. They're evolutions. They're slightly different in many ways, but they're not a whole world apart either.
Evolved.
Yes.
In those cases, they evolved rather than.
Whereas you get, I'd say the modern Disney princess, and I'm going to keep it strictly in the Disney realm and not delve into Pixar and bring in like Merida or anything. Keeping it strictly Disney for the moment.
Yeah.
And so that kind of is Elsa and Mulan, really.
Okay.
I mean, not Mulan. I'm sorry. Moana. Moana is what I meant. I'm sorry.
Moana. Oh, Moana.
Yeah.
I said the name wrong.
Now, have you seen either of those movies, Frozen or Moana?
I avoid Frozen like the plague. And I never really got interested in Moana.
All right. First of all, again, as somebody with girls who is morally obligated to watch all of these, yeah, I'm not a fan of Frozen, and I've actually started to like discuss with my girls why I'm not a fan of Frozen, and it's not because the main characters are all girls. It's not because the prince turns out to be a bad guy. I'm actually okay with that. I'm kind of okay with lampooning the Disney trope of they meet and they fall in love and everything is happily ever after like 10 minutes later. Yeah. I'm okay with going after that a little bit.
And it's not because of that one song that constantly gets stuck in your head, just that the We Are Mention of Frozen.
Let it go. Yeah.
Right now. Yeah.
It's actually that's actually not why I dislike the movie either. I dislike the movie one because Kristoff doesn't really do much of anything. He's not given much credit for what he does, at any rate. Yeah. I mean, Anna wouldn't have gotten to Elsa without him.
Yeah.
But he's still kind of portrayed as a bit of a doof, which I don't like that. I'm totally okay with Anna being like the big motivator in how Elsa is saved.
Yeah.
And how Elsa is the one who winds up saving Anna. I think that actually is. I'm perfectly fine with that, even though if it's a little odd and winds up confusing and diluting the notion of what people mean by true love. Because let's face it, in movies, we all know what true love means. It means what it means in The Princess Bride. You know, it doesn't mean just any deep love between any two people, even if it's family. You know, it's altering that definition, and I'm not sure how I feel about that in and of itself. I frankly hated the character of Elsa, though. I thought the character of Elsa was just stupid. Just flat out ridiculously dumb.
Yeah, I've been hearing more and more people say the same thing. I was like, don't really like Elsa.
Yep. I think it's like once the hype and everything died down, people are kind of like, yeah, she's an idiot. And she's really kind of a thoughtless twit in a lot of ways. I mean, she sits here in her room, all by herself. Again, because her parents put her there, which in and of itself is stupid. That's another thing I hate about the movie. Let's go see the Rock Trolls for advice. And then ignore it all. Good plan.
Don't you just love it when characters do that?
Yes.
Oh, so fun.
Yes, that was one of the most useless side quests in the history of film, actually. Let's go to, so fear, basically love is your friend, fear is your enemy. So we're going to hide her away and never let her touch anything or anyone. Good plan. But anyway, Elsa herself is just portrayed as kind of a helpless twit. Yes, she has power, but she never does anything of her own accord except hurt other people. I mean, if you think about it, up until the very end, when she saves Anna. Other than that, she does nothing except hurt everyone around her the entire time.
Which does not count as an evil Disney princess because she is not consciously being evil. So it doesn't count.
For a little while, she played with the idea briefly. She played with the idea of being evil for just a little bit there. And yeah. About one time she was singing her Let It Go song. Like, I know I'm going to be an inspiration to little girls by inspiring them to not care at all about anything or anyone except yourself. And I'm going to do what I want. And even if that means, unconsciously creating an eternal snowstorm that will destroy my entire village. Just saying.
Wow, I did not realize that was the context of the song.
Yeah. I mean, the whole song is just, I don't care about anyone or anything, which there's a certain thing to be said for not worrying about what other people think about you, obviously. But there's another thing to said when it's like, you know what? I don't care about any morality. I don't care about any limit whatsoever. I'm just going to do what I want. I don't care who I hurt along the way, which is essentially what the whole song is about. It's like, yeah, no, you're an entitled, spoiled brat. Listen to your lyrics, lady. It's like, no, not loving it. Nope. So, and of course, the radical inconsistency between, I can't control my powers, I can't stop the storm, to, well, I can actually create a living, abominable snow monster if I feel like it. I can build a castle, and I can make a freaking ice dress. But I can't control my powers.
It's
really.
It's the little things. It's the little things you can control. You know, because making a huge castle out of ice is a little thing.
And in a form-fitting ice dress that flows when you walk. Right. Yeah. The little things that require intense attention to detail.
How do you even use snow? And you know what,
Ness, no, just don't go there. Just don't go there. Just understand that it is one of the reasons why I dislike the movie. But mostly the portrayal also just sucks all around. She's a bad character. Moana, by contrast, is a much better character. The film in general, I like much more. The films, the songs and everything are, I think, much better than Frozen. And Moana, she isn't just gifted everything right away. She has to learn things along her journey. I mean, is she arrogant and self-assured? Yeah. Like a lot of main characters are, especially ones that are acting in a rebellious way, in a sense, because her going off on her quest is partially a rebellion against her parents, but it's motivated more by the desire to save her people. So I'm willing to give a bit of a pass there. And anyway, yeah, she goes off. She doesn't know how to sail at all. She's sailing across this ocean, so she's kind of like faking it along the way. And she has to learn a lot about how to sail and everything from Maui, and he learns from her the importance of actually caring about people and not just doing stuff for them to get credit and praise. And so the two characters, the male and the female lead, and they learn from each other, and they both become better people as a result. Although she becomes practically a better person. She always has the character to do what needs to be done, but he gives her the practical tools to be able to do it. Whereas he always has the practical tools, she gives him the character.
Yeah.
So it's now that I think about it, it's actually a very complimentary relationship.
Now I have to see it then.
I think it's genuinely a good movie. Really. Okay. There's some issues that I have with it. There's one particular plot detail that bothers me, but as far as the portrayal of the female lead in it, I have no complaints. No significant complaints at any rate. And the chicken, the animal sidekick that is pretty much a mainstay of the Disney princess is hilarious.
Do you remember? I don't know if you heard about this happening, but did you hear about I can't remember what news source it was, but a site was made an article or something about Moana, and they said that Moana was the first Disney princess who wasn't white.
Okay. Mulan's off crying in the corner somewhere.
Poor Jasmine.
I did this in the 90s, people. Freaking Lilo and Stitch. Hello?
Poor Jasmine. No one, apparently, no
the first Polynesian Disney princess, for crying out loud.
And let me see. Mulan, Jasmine,
Jasmine, thank
Tatiana?
you. What's that?
Tatiana? I'm trying to remember the one with the frog prince.
Oh, I'll be honest, I haven't seen that one.
Neither have I, but I just know the name, and it's like,
But yeah, there's another one. They've had a black Disney princess. They've had now 2 Polynesian Disney princesses. They've had an Asian Disney princess. They had a whatever the heck Jasmine was Disney princess.
Do people count Pocahontas as a Disney princess?
Yes, so they've had a Native American Disney princess. First non-white Disney princess. That's like people saying that Black Panther was the first black superhero movie.
The site quickly deleted it and reworded it.
The first modern non-white Disney princess. And by modern, we mean within the last 2 years. Please, no one call us on our bullcrap, please.
But it's like, oh man, they got so much backlash for that. Like,
good.
Have you not watched Disney princess movies ever?
It's like, stop making completely unfounded assumptions, you morons. Go and at least IMDb it, for crying out freaking loud. Just make sure I'm right about this wild assumption that I'm just making just pulling it out of my rear end. Disney princess movies. Oh. Well, gonna have to rewrite that article.
Pretty much.
Oh, people is dumb. People are dumb, Crystal. What can I say?
What can I tell you? I got nothing, dude. Nope.
There's something just no accounting for stupid. Now we're actually just about up with our hour here, so we kind of focus just on Disney princesses. So I'm probably going to change the name of the episode. Just be like Disney princesses and other things.
Yeah, that actually doesn't I wasn't prepared for that.
Yeah. So any final thoughts?
Don't overly simplify movie concepts, basically, because Disney princesses, they're not simple. They're not simply damsels in distress.
No.
The Disney princesses do have power and influence, just in a different way than most are probably used to seeing.
Than what people understand today, because these days people only understand power and influence in the terms of raw power.
Yeah, which now is the case.
Yeah.
Actually, most of the time, it's actually not the case.
Yeah, often in the real world, and especially in many of the best stories, it is not raw power that carries the day.
Yeah.
And that actually is a whole. There's two whole episodes we could do on that. One on that we touched on briefly, the modern urge to say strong female character equals a female character that can punch as hard as a dude.
Yeah.
And also just the concept of how we treat power, how we treat power versus character versus strength versus virtue.
And I'll go so far as to say, just because a character is technically weak doesn't mean they're a weak character, if that makes sense.
Exactly. Yeah, the equating of a strong character with physical strength or a weak character with the lack thereof is foolish, to say the least. It completely, just honestly, now that I think about it, it completely destroys pretty much all the old fairy tales. or at least many of them, because many of them were based on an ordinary person confronting the extraordinary and coming out on top. Often by the end, the ordinary person is no longer ordinary. They've become extraordinary. But it's the idea that an ordinary person can, in fact, be extraordinary. And it has more to do with the strength of character than it does with the strength of the arm. You know, one of the greatest lines in literature history, in the history of literature, it was also carried forth in the film adaptation. That's from Lord of the Rings. And it's in the kind of the final big council with Gandalf and Aragorn and Éomer and everybody in Minas Tirith. They've just beaten off the forces of Mordor. The first massive attack of Sauron has been defeated, and Minas Tirith is safe for the moment. But they know that he's coming again, and he's going to come bigger and stronger, and they won't survive a second attack. And we basically decide. They basically decide that they're to distract attention from Frodo and give him a chance to still get to the mountain. Spoilers, people. Mm-hmm. And to do that, they need to attack Mordor. And somebody says, so I think it might be Éomer, it flat out says, we cannot win through strength of arms. No matter how good we are, no matter how strong we are, we cannot win this fight. It has nothing to do with the sharpness of our blades, with the strength of our arms. If that's what we're relying on, we will fail. And it was like, we cannot win through strength of arms. No, but we can give Frodo this chance. They knew that their hope, it didn't lie in the size of their army. It lied in the strength of character of two weak little hobbits marching basically straight to the belly of the beast. And that's something that it feels like the modern world has forgotten. That's something that, it's the forgetting of that is driving this move, not only in the arts, but in the culture as a whole, to say that a woman is only strong if she's as physically as strong as a man. And they have to all be portrayed that way. Otherwise, it's a weak character. That is fundamentally false. And that is something that we're going to have to explore more in a future episode.
Yeah. But I will just add to that, don't add female characters to stories just to add females to a story. Because I can tell you right now, me, along with a bunch of other women, are now fans of being used as basically a tool to add diversity.
Right.
Just because it fits the story and that fits your inspiration and creativity, not because it fits the quota. Because then you won't have me and a bunch of other women on your side.
Yeah. You hear that, people? Actual girl saying, don't pander to me. It doesn't work. Which, fun fact, maybe, again, when we talk about this, we could talk about the rumors that they're going to make Indiana Jones a girl. Because we don't already have Lara Croft. Yep. And she's speechless, everybody. You can email us at fightingvoid@gmail.com. We're on Twitter at fightingvoid. And I also want to apologize for the Twitter feed being kind of inactive the last couple of weeks. It's been crazy busy for the both of us. And, but I'm starting to get back in the saddle, get caught up with everything. So expect that feed to be a little bit more active. And
I've been on a completely all social media hiatus, but I'll see if I can hop on to Fighting Avoid too. So maybe I'll hit you up too. Maybe on Twitter.
All right. All right. So until next time, keep fighting the good fight, and we'll be back in 2 weeks.